Good Lord. What a life for Christmas. Ooh. I think we're doing it. Hello, hello. My apologies. Thank you for your patience. I'm late. Who are you? Welcome. Hello, hello. My apologies. Thank you for your patience. I'm late. Who are you? Welcome. Forgive me for my humanness. Life's happening over here. How was your week, darling? What are some emotions we can write in the feed? Let's just check my dog's not going to run away. No. So, thank you for your patience, and my boobs are doing. Excuses, life, isn't it? Superfan Paul joined. Superfan Love Not Hate joined. Hooray, hooray. Nice to see you guys. So, proper one if you can hear me, okay, please. That would be good. I was supposed to be doing something else somewhere else. Hello, hello, hooray, yay. Okay, we're doing it. Fantastic. Welcome, welcome. Apologies if you've been waiting. I've moved so that we can have a bit more privacy. Would anybody like to see my new house? Pop a yes in the feed if you would. Where are you in the world? Let's do that. And let's check the audience, shall we? So, pop a 1 in the chat if you are a member of the public and you'd just like to be here for as long as you'd like to be here. Pop a 2 if you are a client or patient, i.e. someone where you're invested in personal development. You would like to understand yourself a bit better, get more savvy in your psychological approach to life, have a good one, and you are working on yourself. And pop a 3 if you are a clinician, and 4 if you are a coach or a healer. And whilst you're here, what would you like from being here? And again, we have humans with the comments. And what I could do is bugger around. However, I won't. So we've got all comments on today. Again, we're subscriber-only chat on Sundays. Having said that, it's all been a bit higgledy-piggledy life recently. So we all get to chat this week because I don't know how to do it. So, enlightenment. So, pop a 5 if you like the idea that we can all talk. You're very welcome to watch every Sunday, whether you subscribe or not. However, it is what it is, and rather than make you wait longer for me to get my shit together, let's just go for it, shall we? Is that a good plan? Pop a good plan in the chat if that's a good plan. And no, let's put subscriber-only comments if that's how you feel about it. So the VIP subscribers, if you have questions particularly, I'll be looking for yours first, just because that's all good fare. And you will have a video, obviously, after this. So, why are we here, people? What would you love from being here? Let's say you're just here for 5 minutes. Let's say you're here for the whole hour. What would you like from being here? Bearing in mind you're in the presence of greatness. And that is us as a collective. When people get together, it's the mastermind, darling. Do we know this? Probably yes, if you get it. That when we have many minds together, it makes for mastery. What would you like from being here? I'm a psychotherapist. I'm a coach. I'm a psychologist. I'm a pain in the ass. I'm all kinds of different stuff. What are you? What would you like from being here? And what are you? If you would like to be anonymous, that's fine. However, if you would like to connect with other people, make friends, get clients, something, please don't spam the chat. However, if you have products and services, if you're someone and you have a product, share it, please. Who's in for that? Pop a 22 if you're in for that. For people just saying, hey, I have something good. Gabby Bernstein, I heard from her years ago. She said, if you've got something good to share, you must share it. Obviously, there are appropriate times and not appropriate times. However, when they're my lives, I would say, you do you, love. And just pop, here's what I'm doing. There we go. Holistic health mentor. Fantastic, Kate. Fantastic. Can we get hold of you? Are you taking clients? If not, that's all good. Reach out to each other. Pop a yes me in the chat if you're looking to connect with good people, not nice people. Does anybody pop a 222 in the chat if you know of me that I'm not about the nice, I'm about good. And I encourage us all to be more like that. She says, little Miss Narcissist, be like me. What I mean by it is, pop an 81 in the chat if you get what I mean by this. Nice ain't nice. Nice is manipulative, and nice causes a lot of problems. Meaning, we lie by omission. It's the most common form of lying. I.e., you lie to you about the truth. You lie to others about the truth. You put on a mask. Sometimes it's appropriate to a point. However, you end up stacking resentment. Pop yes me in the chat if you get this. A culture that gaslights its members, and this is a global thing, not a British one. Direct, compassionate. There we go. Beautiful. That's the best word. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's the point, is with directness, we get to be compassionate. When dealing with emotion and trauma and humanity, we get to be compassionate. Pop a 55 in the chat if you could be more compassionate towards you when dealing with yourself. When you're questioning you, when you're overwhelmed, when you're doing anything, is you get to plop, big dollop of compassion every single moment of your life moving forward. Gaslight systems on systems. It starts with us, folks. So, what would you like from being here? I'm very challengeable, by the way. I'll hear you. And I get it wrong sometimes, and we get to work as a collective for health and happiness and thriving. Pop a 44 in the chat if you're up for that. I may have some skills to offer you. However, we're all here together, so let's use each other and contribute. Who's in? Pop 1 if you're in. I have this issue with a colleague at work. They are out to control me via gaslighting. Orange spice gas. Pop a 23 in the chat if you identify with orange spice gas's comment. I've just had the same, my love. So much so that I was thinking, are you in a good place to do this live, Poppy, when you want to rip someone's fucking head off at the moment? It's part of life, right? Pop a 28 in the chat. If you are prepared to admit sometimes you would go for someone if you felt you wouldn't get into trouble or be nasty. None of which I'm interested in doing. I've been in enough trouble and been nasty enough in my time. I have this issue with a colleague at work. They are out to control me via gaslighting. So stick around, my love. Let's talk to it. What else have we got here? What's going on with you? What would you like from being here? Let's say you're here for the whole time or 5 minutes or whatever. What would be your intention? What would you love? I would love the light to hold up, which I don't think it will. In which case, how do we do stuff? Because I'm new here. I don't know if there are lights. I do have a candle. Let's see how we go. What would you love from being here, you guys? Often enough to scare me. Yeah, Paul, cut from a similar cloth there, my love. It's what we do with the emotions that's the key point. Proper 2, if you get that. All emotions are valid. Every single one is what we do with the emotion that can and does become a problem. See, own life patterns, lots of betrayal, deciding what relationships I want. With my sister's clarity. Own life patterns. I'm just putting this down, my lovely. Betrayal. Skills to stop being nice. Brilliant. I love that. Skills to stop being nice. What else? What do we want? Let's put in our orders. To stop being nice. Let's shine some light over here for me, shall we? What else? Poke at me if I miss a comment, my loves. Been stuck inside last week, so need to get moving again. Feel like falling apart. Pop a 20 high sky. Pop a 29 if you identify with what Sky's just said. Need to get moving again. So let's change the word to get to, shall we? Get moving again. Need to. Sometimes that's a bit, what's the word? Resisting. So it's all just a bit of a drama, and we don't need that. You get to. Gently, though. I'm thinking big dollop of compassion there for you, my love. Been off work for 11 months after being assaulted by an autistic student at school. Good Lord. That's a lot of trauma there. Are you getting support, my love? Gently, gently, right? Let's just put a 17 in the chat. Oh, by the way, you can send hearts up here. Look. Who can see that? Pop a 17 if you can see that heart. If you press there, you can heart me, and that's helpful. I can't remember why. However, everybody gets to have hearts. Let's have hearts. Identify what's inside me and allow other people's actions and words to trigger me. Ooh, there's a theme arising. There's a theme. Pop a 3 in the chat if any of you have got thrive. Just let's start there, shall we? Have you got thrive? Pop thrive in the chat if you have. I attended final absence review this week and they're trying to get rid of me. Haha. A lot of people seem to want to get rid of some of us. Is it going to work? Yes or no? You've got thrive. Fantastic. Those of you that don't, please have a look afterwards. It's got a lot of good reviews. Thrive Boundaries Mastery. Is it any good? You guys say. What are we going to do, darlings? Because my wonderful lady is in the other room and she talks just as loudly as me. So let's make a plan a minute. Let's set some boundaries, shall we? So that end of the garden's got more light because that might work. That works, doesn't it? Let's do that. Okay. So it looks like we're talking, I'm starting to embrace the darkness and the shadow. How do I stay on the right of my ego? Brilliant question. Phenomenal questions. Good for you guys. Okay, so should we just hop to it? Pop a 3 if you think we should just get straight on with the question. Let's see, can we integrate them all? The darkness, shall we start there? Let's do this. How about we do this? The plan is, let's ignite some light. Who would like that? Pop a yes in the chat if you would like that. To ignite some light within you and within me. Rocket seems to have got enough light over there. And within other people. Who likes that plan? Yes or yes? Yes? Okay. So help me out as I talk. Let's send some love for a beginning. Talking of light, let's get on. Let's go straight for the real stuff. Let's send some love to each other. The people to experience from being here. Quick one is, what would you like to experience? And then we send it to other people to experience from being here today. Quick one is, what would you like to experience? And then we send it to other people to feel. If we're generous spirited and loving, what would you like people to get emotionally? As in shadow self and loving, what would you like people to get emotionally from being here? As in shadow self. My shoulder has healed a bit. It's been damaged. What side? The masculine or the feminine? The masculine, the right. Unsafe. Okay. Angie. You get to channel here. What would you like other people in the feed to experience being here? And we're just talking to health. Who's up for that? I see you all. What would you like to experience? Love wins at the end of the day. Pop a 25 in the chat. If you could allow yourself to believe that. Love wins. It's more powerful. The light is more powerful. However, we all have the dark. Glitching a bit. That's not fun. Is it glitching for anyone else? Pop a 3 in the chat if it's glitching for others. That's very flipping annoying. Let's work that one out, shall we? Pop a 3 if it's glitching for you. Let me check. Isn't it annoying when life happens how it's happened? Oh dear. Yeah, it's saying it's got good internet. What do we do? Maybe it just gets dark whilst I talk about darkness. That's how it goes. Was it better? Maybe it just gets dark whilst I talk about darkness. That's how it goes. Was it better over here? Papa 1. It's more useful as we're in the dark talking about the dark. Is it better with the 1? I was watching a lady do this the other day and I was like, fucking hell, lady, get your shit together. I would just thought it. I didn't say it. So I'm empathizing with you. Was glitching okay at the minute. Thank you, Marcel. Okay, so give me feedback if it's glitching and we'll have to do something else. We all have the darkness, a lot of it. Pop a 17 in the chat if you know that or you embrace that or both. Hooray. Thank you. I'm glad it's good now. Please share, by the way. Let's invite other people to come along and talk because this is important stuff. In fact, let's declare, shall we? Who's up for being compassionate and truthful? And what's that called? Courageous. Why don't you pop in the chat? What do you know about your darkness? So, for example, behaviors. What kinds of things can you do that's your darkness? And what I mean there is where you are not representing the version of you you'd actually like to be. You at your optimum, you grounded, you happy, you healthy, you wealthy, you thriving, you enjoy, you in flow. When you're not at, what can you be? Dark. Projecting. Brilliant one, Kate. Well, projecting. So what I'm feeling, I'm thinking you're feeling it. Or I'm even saying why are you angry when I'm furious? That's projecting, right? Or assuming that somebody's thinking something and actually it's your thought. It's not theirs. Disowning stuff. What kinds of stuff do you do? Become cold. I love this. Well done, you guys. This is courageous stuff, right? Who gets that? We'll give some hearts. Tapping is clapping, you guys. You can tap, tap, tap away the whole time if you choose. Repeated frustration. What kind of stuff do you do? Shut down. Dina. What other stuff? I love that you're doing this. Well done, you. Let's just own it. Pop a yes in the chat if you can see how, if you take ownership with a dollop of compassion, please. A lot of it. Compassion and shame, they get to come together here. We are a shame-based culture, did we know? Pop a 5 if you're aware how in shame we are. We feel the whole of us is wrong. So shame can't exist in the light. So how about you take ownership? What kind of stuff do you do? Staying quiet, resentful? Anyone do passive aggression? I'm fine. Nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. Anybody do passive aggression? The darkness. It can be when you eat and when you drink and when you smoke and you're eating on your feeling. What other things can you do? Darkness. The devil's got you a little bit. Tantrum. Wow, good for you, my love. I wish I'd have had more tantrums. In fact, I do tantrums sometimes. In a healthy way, though. However I get it. What else do you do? Who's enjoying this? Pop a 77 in the chat if you're enjoying the truth here. Flipping awesome, people. Zone out. Okay, that's where it gets a bit dangerous sometimes. And we leave the darkness. What else? Became like a child. Yeah, sometimes we do that. Unstable connection. Well, we're talking instability, so we'll just roll with it. Anybody get depressed? Anybody get anxious, panic attacks? Anybody get somatization? Meaning, that's a ridiculous way of saying it. You somatize. So your dis-ease goes into the body and the body speaks for you. Pain, for example. Irritable bowel, ulcerative colitis, the human stuff. Anxious. Close myself down like a cave. If you take all of those are wounded reactions, right? How are they working for you would be a question. Pop in the chat. How do they work for you? And just come with, there's no wrong answers here. How do they work for you? Just whatever comes to mind, pop here. Sometimes what people do is we are over-identified with something. It might be that you have a mental health issue, or me too, welcome to the human race. In fact, I've got more than one, as you may have gathered. Not in my stomach. Okay. How's it working for you when you do those kinds of things in response to what? What would you say you're responding to when you go to those places? What are some emotions that you're responding to? Do you know why you respond that way, I suppose is the question. Sorry, that's an easy way of putting it. Yes or no, do you know why you're responding that way when you respond that way? Do you know what's happening for you? Short version, I would say, is doesn't work long term. Brilliant. Look at you lot. I really am impressed with you. Who's impressed? Pop some hearts if you're impressed with us. We're in fear. We're in ego. One of you mentioned that. And we get, is there's fear or love, right? Fear, love. Pop in the chat on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the most. No, that's not even helpful. Sorry. Give a ratio, 0 to 100. How much of your day would you say you're operating from a place of love versus from a place of fear? We're not conscious of it often. So a ratio with 50-50, obviously, would be fear and love. Love and fear, that's what we've got. You with me? That, for example, massive, great big issue happened with me. I'm doing a series on it. I popped the first one up today. Fear. Fear came in very quickly with me, triggered. So when we're hurt, when we're angry, when we're overwhelmed, when we're etc., we're in a fear place. So if and when, pop a 3, if this feels like it resonates or it's useful. If life happens, you get to ask yourself, am I here being loving? Is this a loving response? Do I feel love or am I in fear? Because when we start going at people or withdrawing or any of this stuff, sorry for the light, folks, I had this whole planned. However, life is lifing. If you feel ever that was not me at my best, it's likely you're coming from a place of fear. You're reacting. Feel threatened in some kind of way. You don't feel safe. You've been triggered, stimulated, and so on. So we go to fear. And fear often is difficult for other people to be around because they don't have context. So that's where the dark, we have the light and the dark. The light, obviously. Pop some words that describe you in your light. You in your most loving. Some words about you, some behaviours. What kinds of things do you do? What could we see? What would we be able to witness when you're coming from a place of love? What is it? Let's prime us. What kinds of things do you say? What kinds of things do you do? What kind of traits are there? I want to move around and get into the light. However, I'm not going to move because it seems this is better reception-wise. Calm. When I come from calm. There we go. Okay, so let's have a quick tip if we don't know this. The way to get into the light is you come straight to your heart. I'm pointing at it. The heart brain. The heart develops before the brain. And I know it's very challenging to intercept right when you're in the thick of a feeling. To self-regulate can be challenging, particularly if there's a lot of trauma, particularly if you feel alone. However, the more we practice this, it's like muscle memory. Heart brain. The heart develops before the brain. There's the love. It's very simple. Still, soft voice. It's not any emotion there. It's very compassionate. Simple. Pop a yes if you can bear with the darkness, and pop a no if you're over it and I'll need to go inside. However, then you'll hear the other lady talking, which may not work either. Here, long sentences, recruiting sentences, judgment, ego. So when there have been times, Poppy 2, if this is you, there have been times where you get a sense you shouldn't do something or you should do something or something's not okay, or physiologically your body speaks for you. You get shakes or you don't feel good. That's a sign, by the way, people. When we're in our head intellectualizing our way through something in fear, that's where we start getting completely out of control. We lose ourselves. So our energy signature morphs into this fear-based stuff, and we end up getting consumed and usually ending up coming away and feeling bad, guilty, or getting into trouble or upsetting other people. We're bleeding onto people. We're leaking on them when we're reacting. The darkness, fine for me. Good. Hooray. Keep giving me feedback. People will trigger us always and throughout life. I had a client once and she said, I said, what would you like from doing the work? She said, I don't want to ever be triggered. Thank you, Sky. And I said, well, okay, so that's going to be challenging if that's your approach to life, because pop a yes in the chat. What I'm saying here, obviously you do you and challenge. If you have different thoughts or you'd like to add yours, please do. I said, we're always going to be triggered in life. I'll put a yes if you get that. It's the same with all emotions are valid. It's what we do with the emotion that's key. We will always be triggered. However, how we feel about what's happening and how we think about what's happening and how we respond to what's happening, buzzword rather than react, is key. So the same kind of things that can, go on that trigger me classically, you could write in the chat what kinds of things trigger you. Sometimes, rarely, I get upset about it. However, there's one particular thing. And then potentially all bets are off. Have you got your thing? Your certain thing that is like, oh, it's difficult. Death triggers you. And you're called the angel of death. Good for you that you're working with your trigger, my love. That's beautiful. Respect. You're looking at your darkness, right? Your shadow. I'm assuming. Injustice. Yeah. Oh, we've got some humanitarians in the feed. What humanitarian if that's you? You love humanity. And you'd like good for us. And you'd like good for you. Me too. That you, woof. It gets a little bit spicy. That's my, for many, that's the thing. We get to be able to harness our tools, my love, and iron sharpens iron. So we get to be around people who get us. And particularly if you're a neurodiverse, wonderful brain, pop a yes in the chat if you have, or you identify in some kind of way as having a different way of conceiving and perceiving life. Oftentimes, we don't take the bullshit. It's the emperor has no clothes and have no problem pointing that out. The way we do it, again, can be compassionate and gracious and so on. You just can't. It's like the moral compass is so fucking straight and on point. You can't corrupt this stuff. However, that can be a lonely path, right? Pop yes in the chat if you can experience life as very lonely. Very. There's it's viral at the moment. It made me laugh. Have you seen it? Probably yes or no if you haven't seen this. There's a guy and he's got a green hoodie, and it's a 13-second little clip where he's talking about. I don't know if I can repost it. Probably you can. He's talking about how literally squat of nothing % of people really prepared to fully invest and go in and really face off with our shadow. Have a look. Not have a fight, have a look. Compassion. And the rest people in and out or never do it. And therefore, it's pretty rough to expect that everybody will get us when we're all at different levels of consciousness. We all have different lenses. So it's not personal if some people don't get you. And in my mind, it's a backward compliment when people go for us. And that's really important, I would say, is when people really go for you, is a backward compliment, as I see it. And I don't feel that's Pollyanna. I feel it's like, this is what happens. When we see something in somebody else, it scares us, it intimidates us, it shakes us up. There's usually a very, very key reason for it is you or I are doing something that that person cannot or will not do, or they've made it bad, or someone's taught them it's bad. Pop an 11 if this is making sense, and pop a 12 if it's useful. Culture and people will teach people, don't speak up, don't be confident, don't assert yourself, don't have your back, don't rock the boat. And then when people see it, sometimes people doing it, they will get triggered. They've learned they cannot do that. I cannot do that, people think. So when they see other people doing it, they want to cut it off, shame it, dismiss it, kill it, quite literally. This is what wars are about, is they cannot stand certain something because they are very insecure and not quite whole and not quite healed and not quite, not that who is healed ever. It's a journey. We can be invested. Pop invested in the chat if you are, in your mind, invested in your evolution, in you becoming the truest representation of you, so that you get to give from the overflow, you get to leave a beautiful energy signature wherever you go when, sometimes, let's say, we can't do it all the time. That's not humanity. That would be some kind of deity. And I know that we are all deities in our own way. However, there's blood in our veins, some of us anyway. Invested. Good for you. Bravo. Could we have some hearts for those of you saying you're invested? The thing that is the greatest and most challenging, I would say, about health, and I'm talking physical health as well. So two things, we cannot separate them. Pop a 25 in the chat if you get that. Emotional health, mental health, physical health, you cannot separate them. It's the same system. We are divine. Can't undo it. The greatest thing we can learn, in my mind, is that between us and us, we get to give to us what we are looking for. Pop a 21 if that makes sense. It's very painful in my opinion, and I said it years ago. I had a viral video called Dear Suicidal Patient. Unfortunate, not patient, what am I talking about? Person, forgive me. Where's that come from? My first career was in psychiatry, so that's a bit of a Freudian slip. I'm talking about me though, ironically, and other people. And what's my point? Facebook took it down. Damn 'em. No, I'm going to take that back. Sorry, there's reaction. Blessings to Facebook. Thank you for connecting us. Let's leave it there. Why am I telling you this? It will come back to me if it's supposed to. Could not quite hear. I'm getting there. Where I would be happy to buy myself a drink. Good for you, my love. I'll come back. Forgive me. My mind's gone somewhere else. Oh, I said in the video. There we go. Thank you. One of the hardest things about my job is telling people nobody is coming. Pop it in the chat if you feel it would be useful to you. What we write, we invite. Nobody is coming to do this for us. The healing, the embracing, the loving, and so on. Nobody else can do it. And even if they did, if you're anything like any other human I've ever met, you wouldn't accept it anyway, would you? Pop a 33 in the chat if you know that's true. If somebody came to you with lashings and lashings of love and everything and everything and everything, if you're not feeling worthy of it, if you're feeling like you're judging you, or you got a really harsh inner critic or sadistic super ego, as we call it in psychodynamic stuff, you wouldn't accept it anyway. No, thank you. Stuff. I didn't know this, and I don't know that I've ever learned this as a clinician in any training, or if I did, maybe I did, and I was just blocking it out because I wasn't ready to hear it. Love comes from within. Worth comes from within. Kindness, compassion, security comes from within. So I meet a lot of people, pop a 2 if this resonates with you. I meet a lot of people who are very scared of other people. They're scared of conflict. They're scared of getting it wrong, and. And that is projection. They don't feel safe. Pop a 38 in the chat if this resonates. We get scared of things going wrong when we don't trust ourselves to have our back if they do go wrong. So we spend a lot of time in fear, hoping that somebody else will do it right, stick up for us, all the things. Who's sharing the video? Anyone? I don't see shares. Ooh, somebody has. Thank you for that. Please do share. That's what life's about, my loves, sharing. People can do what they want with what they want. However, we can only, do our bit. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. I don't know that I've ever heard this in trainings, is we get to understand that we are the ones that get to come to our aid. And once you learn that you can do that, you're unstoppable. Pop a 38 in the chat if you get that. That we get to feed us with the love and the tenderness and the warmth that we deserve. And once we learn how to do that, other people will see the standards we're setting. Energetically, they'll feel it. And those that don't, they won't necessarily be our people, or if they are, they'll sort of, pass through, that things won't stick. So if you ever fear anything, like you, my love, you fear death, there's something about the way that we're living that's saying that we're not able to give ourselves a sense of security. And by the way, take what you want, leave what you don't. There's nothing to fear in death, my love. I'm very informed on that one. However, that's almost irrelevant here because it's your fear, right? So I can't take your fear. However, what I can promise you is there is nothing to fear. So there may be something that you're getting from feeling that something's bad there. If I know anything about hell, it's here on earth with the rest of us. Death is a graduation. It's glorious. My experience, it's glorious, flipping amazing wonderfulness. And we all get to look forward to it like the best birthday party we've ever had. It's quite extraordinary experience. And I've heard it from many, many, many people. So there was this first question. Am I answering questions? Pop a yes in the chat if I am, and a no if I'm not. To stop being nice. Okay, so let me answer the stop being nice one. One, stop being fucking nice. It's not nice. It's gross. And what I mean by that is it's gross for you. It hurts your soul. It's what's that called? Pop a yes if you agree. Pop a no if you don't, obviously. It's an assault on your soul when you pretend something is okay when it ain't. Who's with me on that? It's an assault on your soul. It's not okay. And you get to say things, yeah, people take advantage of nice. Sometimes they do, yeah. However, people feel that it's not nice. Pop a 30 in the chat. If you know people who are nice and it ain't nice, you can feel their resentment, you can feel their passive aggression, you can, or you get slapped with it a few years later when invariably, and, no disrespect here, however, it comes up with they've got fibro or whatever it is, and then they cannot do things. They cannot. So the body ends up going in some kind of way, yeah, love, I'm going to have your back because you don't. So I'm going to take that from you, so you're going to have to receive. However, then it becomes a massive identity with us. It is, oh, my bipolar, or my alcoholism, or my humanity is what we're dealing with. And this world is cashing in on it, my loves. Cashing in on it. Who gets that? Put 22 in the chat. If you get that people are making a fucking mint of the fact that you're so damn nice. Do you understand what I mean by that? That you're not sovereign, that you don't feel all that, and so on. It would be funny for people just arriving. Hello, I am actually alive. I'm not a ghostly figure over here. People will take advantage. And globally, and governments and everything. And I hear it often with people, and obviously you do you. People will say, I don't do politics. Pop a 17 in the chat if you feel that way. And I would love it if you just bear with me to see whether or not this resonates for you. Pop a 17, and I don't do politics. What I would say to that just quickly is, we all do politics. In my opinion, and again, you do you, politics is everything. What you're wiping your ass with the next time you take a shit is political. Somebody sourced that. These people have been paid or something in some kind of way, the treatment of it, you're paying into, you're investing and you're sponsoring political agendas when you wipe your fucking ass. Who's with me with that? Do you get it? I'm deliberately being provocative with my language and my tone so that it lands. We all have a part to play in the genocide, my loves. It's everywhere, and yes, it's in your doorstep. Yes, it's in your finger on your mobile phone. We're all part of the warring, all of us. Are you with me? And if you're not, please, by all means, share. However, my point here is the darkness piece everywhere, and we have a part to play. Darkness can only happen when we're all doing it. It doesn't just happen. We're not all suddenly, sort of, what's that called? En masse hysteria. That's grooming. We've been groomed for this. It's not our fault. We've been indoctrinated, and it's very traumatic life. And let's just to have a point of a breather here for a second. How about we all send love to each other? Because we all came into this world in a traumatic experience. Just through the birthing canal, that's traumatic. I used to say sometimes trigger warning on my videos, and I thought, what the hell are you doing? It's become this culture where like, trigger warning. We've had all of the trauma. The minute we take a breath, we've been through this overwhelm. And so is our mum, by the way. Her body, our bodies. So we get to be able to know and appreciate and address and respect the fact that we are resilient, very. You with me? So what I would call for is, let's be mindful that anything that we're thinking and saying and the way you're talking to you, the way you're treating you, however that's happening is having resonance and impacting other people in your environment, people that they touch, all around the place. We and our energy travels, our energy signatures, the mood we're in, the thoughts we're having, and so on. So anything that we are doing is impacting other people. This is why very recently somebody was being a complete shit to me, and I said, absolutely not. I have people I care about around me. I'm not going to take your behavior and so on. That doesn't get to happen here. Thank you and no thank you. You get to go. Care about you. I care about me. Care about my little dog. We get to have wonderful things in our lives, right? Pop right in the chat if that's something you believe is yes. You get to have good things. However, what we think we want and what we actually want, i.e. feel worthy of, usually very different things. Pop a 2 in the chat if you get me. Thank you for the hearts you like a lot. I love the gifts and the hearts. Let's really appreciate that. There's so many of us, obviously, we can say, I'd like more money, I'd like more this, I'd like a boyfriend, I'd like this, that, and the other. That doesn't mean we're going to get it, particularly if we've got issues with worth, issues with receiving. Pop a little hand emoji if you have issues receiving. A lot of people can't even accept a compliment without batting it away. We get to learn to receive. The law of reciprocity, give and receive. It's the law of nature. If you want to fuck with nature, you ain't going to win. You with me? Pop a little hand emoji or yes, if you know of you, you could be more gracious with receiving. Yes or yes. Isn't it odd? I'm so sorry about the light. However, it is what it is. It's very, what's the word? On point. I'll give you the Tony Robbins story. It's the best one I've heard about receiving, honestly. Where he said, this is poetic license maybe a little bit because it was a long time ago I heard this. He said he was at lunch with a colleague, I think, or a friend, and he went to the bathroom. The colleague or the person, let's say John, right, went to the bathroom. Tony's at the table and Tony paid the bill. John came back from the bathroom and he went to pay the bill. And the waiter said, oh no, Mr. Robbins has paid. And John turns to Tony and says, well, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. And he said, how dare you rob me of the privilege of giving to you? But put 1 in the chat if that's made an impression. Fuck you for robbing me of the opportunity of giving to you. So those of you in this feed who are givers, right? What does it feel like if someone blocks you? If you say to me a compliment or a gift or something, you give it to me. And no, I'm not having that. No, no, and I block you, what does it feel like? Honestly, if you really consider it, say you want to give something, you honestly and sincerely, you want to give an ear, you want to be kind. It's just made me think actually of something. Somebody offered me something and I said no earlier, and I thought, she's trying to give to me. I've only just realised. Papa 77 in the chat, if you're realising actually, you might be robbing people, innocent people who'd love to give you something, because you're so damn independent, self-sufficient, and you've learned not to take. It's only me. I'll do it. I've got this. I don't need anything. No. Let's do you first and I'll get the dregs or nothing. Why don't you want it? Oh, with my thing, do you mean Lisbeth? I was talking to you guys. I was just about to go live. That's why I said I'm doing it with you. So me. Is that made any difference? What difference, if so, is that having on you? Is that we rob people of the opportunity of giving to us. And equally, we get to get off our little arrogant, we know it all perch, ego, when we look around at nature, right? The laws of nature. We get to follow them. Nature's doing just fine. Give and receive. That's why I say about Thrive, Boundaries Mastery, my program. Take, please, I've given it to you. Boundaries Mastery, please take it. It took me 40 fucking years to understand what a boundary was, what a trigger was, and so on. And thank you for the gifts. Equally, it was 200 and whatever, 45 quid. And I thought, of course it is. It's my life. It's taken me a long time. Hospitals, prisons, you name it, to understand that shit. Not to mention your help, thank you, beautiful clients and groups and people I've worked with and researched and so on. However, what I realised, I think it was was it you, Love Not Hate, talking to you a few months ago in the summer, saying if I was a gazillionaire, I'd give that away, that programme. So it is, you pledge what you feel is right for you to get the programme, because I'd like us all to have it. I don't want to, be gatekeeping, is that what it's called? We get to know what we need to know to get the education to be safe in this world so that we can come into the light. We're not afraid. People aren't using us and victimizing us and so on. Papa 7, if you get what I'm saying here. Obviously, I'm not for everyone. My style doesn't resonate for some. I understand that, and that's okay. However, I'd like to do my bit. Whoever it was that was saying, what about nice and so on. If I offer you something and you don't want it, it makes me curious. There we go. In terms of, let me just find myself a minute. In terms of being bullied, here's what I tell you. Firstly, take Thrive. Just here, one lady, a couple of people actually, they've gone straight through it in just a matter of days. It's not that long. And Relationship Mastery is next, by the way, those of you that have gobbled it up, good for you. I'm adding more little bits whilst I'm finishing the Relationship Mastery. That will be up in a few weeks. We get to decide with us what is okay and what is not okay, and have a real come to Jesus moment, as they say, is when things happen, when you feel like you're being bullied and so on. It happened with me the other day. Again, the story, I'm putting it on here. Just give me a minute because it's quite an epic one. We get to decide personally what is okay and what is not okay. And yes, it's wonderful and ideal that we get to add pressure and challenge where it's appropriate for other people to be able to do the right thing by us and for us to be protected and our rights and our inalienable rights and yada yada. However, first and foremost and always, we get to be able to have conversations with ourselves about how we would like to conduct ourselves, how we would like to experience life, and what gets to happen and not happen. And those conversations happen between us and us, where we make agreements about what we will do and what we will not do. We make agreements with ourselves about listening to what we feel. This isn't about navel gazing, it's about safety, it's about respect, it's about love. And then we decide what we're going to do with that. Pop a 33 in the chat if I'm making sense, and please ask me questions if I'm not. From there, then we get to address things. What I would say with bullying for a beginning is keep a fucking paper trail, please. What I mean by that is screenshot everything, record everything, email things. Do not have conversations and just think it's a gentle lady's agreement or a gentleman's agreement and trust. Sorry, not sorry. Gone are the times where that is now appropriate. That's very naive if we think we're going to have some kind of, particularly if it's with authority, conflict or confrontation. We cannot. It's too naive, I'm so sorry, to assume that that person's going to do the right thing when I'm talking about bullying particularly. Bless you. Thank you, Kate. Obviously, there are, what's the word? What's that called? Exceptions. You know, a lady the other day overgave to me. She was trying to overgive to me. And I said, listen, let's reframe. Sometimes people will catch it. However, the majority of people, and empaths will do, very, very generous, spirited, lovely, lovely people will overtake from us. And it's a very fine line between overtaking and bullying, in my opinion. So obviously take what you want. Because we train people to do things. So with bullying, there's always a lesson and a blessing in it, in my opinion. I know it's harsh, I know it's horrible. However, it won't be the first time. Anybody here, pop a yes me in the chat if you have been bullied. And one guy a few years ago, God love him, I hope he's still around somewhere. This was on Facebook. He said, I was doing a live about bullying, and he said I was a bully. And he stayed in the chat with everybody, and we spoke about bullying. Yeah, so take Thrive. And by the way, as a resource, I don't know if we'll live it here on Facebook. However, I'm interviewing a guy who's absolutely beautiful. Love him. Who helps us with this stuff about manipulation. He's a diagnosed psychopath. And I absolutely relish him. He does a lot of live stuff, helping us deal with psychopathy, bullying, narcissism, and so on. You're very welcome to follow him as well, if you want to. And God love him that he's letting me interview him. We'll stream it on all platforms. Hopefully we'll be on here, so you get to ask him questions as well. He's very, very self-reflective man. You get to decide between you and you what your emotions are telling you when you are activated. Is what's the message? Not why am I feeling this, where we gaslight ourselves. Is to be able to ask you, where do I get to have my back here? So take Thrive, please. Equally, you may want to see the series that I do here. It'd be nice for you to support and share it if you want, on bullying. So the first one is up here. I had a hideous altercation with a man in town. So here's me. I come to Glastonbury, right? There's light and dark, and we will meet our dark again and again and again. And we'll meet our light again and again and again. So I come to Glastonbury in Britain, which is like the magical land of witches, basically. There's plenty of light. And there's about 8,000 people in this town. And guess who I meet day 2? So I met lots of beautiful witches. Loads of them. And I then equally met the town bully. Boy. So I'm telling the story of it, and I'm looking to be as gracious about it as I can. What I feel like doing is screaming and strangling the dude. However, I'm going the straight line, which is, no, it's an opportunity here to be gracious about no. And you're very welcome to support me in doing that, because whilst me, like many, pop a 25 in the chat if you feel part of your life path is to change the trajectory on something that you've noticed, you've experienced, you've witnessed, you've been hurt by. To change the trajectory, that it stops with you, that you get to talk into it, you get to do something creative with it, you get to change the drama and the pain and the so on in some kind of way, big or small. Are the numbers real? Sky, I asked for numbers because then we can see who identifies. That's why I ask. So, oh, how beautiful. Who just did that? Bless you. Thank you for the butterfly. Oh, perfect timing as well. we get to do things well. And it takes a lot, I know. When I was 11, I remember sitting in the back of my car listening to my dad go on about something. And I remember thinking, I want to say the right thing at the right time to the right person. I was about 11, I think. And I thought, that is a big order. However, sometimes I get it on, sometimes we won't. And the best thing we can do is be gracious about taking ownership of that. Is to say, I got it off there, and come back to something and take ownership and be the change. It can be very, pop a 1 in the chat if this resonates. It can be very permission making for people to see us in our humanity. To see, it's safe for me to say I'm sorry and I'll do better. And, you know, often people will say to me, I'll do things, or it's okay. And I'll say, it isn't okay at all. I'll do better. I'm sorry about that. And that doesn't mean they should appreciate it or do anything. It's the principle of the thing is, let's not say but or give excuses, just take ownership. And the more that we can do that, the more that we can help with this shame culture. And I think a lot of the reason why we have problems with admission, the truth, is we associate shame with making human errors, mistakes, being human. Not even mistakes. I don't believe in mistakes. When we do things that aren't fucking perfect, we go into shame attack. So the more that we can, and this is why I love and I'm so grateful, thank you, for you popping your truths in the chat, is we get to shine a light on shame. So follow along. Give me some feedback on the videos. There's a couple of long ones. And I never quite know what to do about that because I'm in the middle of a flipping story and oftentimes I use too many words and then other times they're the right number. So we shall see. Any last thoughts here? What are you taking from this? My pleasure, my love. Did I answer your questions, you beautiful lot? I'm sorry if I've missed a comment. However, if I have, it won't be deliberate. I promise you I'll have missed it. What are you taking from this, you guys? What's one takeaway or a couple of them that you could pop in the chat? I did. Good, Bruce. Hooray, hooray. Thank you for all of the hearts. That's fantastic. Look at this. 111. Quick, everybody look up. Up, up, up by my name. Top left. 111. Angel number. That is extraordinary. Let's all make a wish on the number, shall we? Set your intentions for this week. What would you love to experience this week? That is by design, my darlings, and you did that. That number there, you created that. I haven't tapped the screen with a heart this evening. You have. You have all created that number. How extraordinary is that? That's peace and love in action, my loves. Well done. Let's have some hearts for us. That you're human and dealing with your own shit. Anglo Angie, that I am or we are? I'm not sure what you're saying there. However, yes, my love, I'm very human over here too. Play with my grandchildren in water. Beautiful. What are you taking from here? And what are your wishes? Let's set them. What we write, we invite. What would you love to experience this week? And what would you love to do with you that will mark a change? What's that called? Threshold of change with you and compassion. Who's up for this before we go? Pop a 111 in the chat if you are up for making a conscious decision now for compassion, a vote for compassion and you. So you get to, here's your humanity and here's compassion, and you get to link them. So the two things are intertwined. Compassion. Here's what I would say, if you're up for it, is you get yourself a talisman to mark a threshold of change where you get to get a ring or a necklace or a plant or something that you're around a lot that you can have on your person ideally that marks a threat, not as something you have already, a new thing. Could be a journal, could be anything, some nail varnish. However, I would say get a talisman is something that you see often or you can wear that marks a threshold of change that says, yes, I'm human. And you get to love you in your humanity. Then we come out. So if we think of the dark, right? We're all in the dark, quite literally tonight. Let's say all our little younger selves are here in the dark. afraid. We all have that in a child who in some kind of way, part of that experience of that child can be shame, can be pain, can be isolation, loneliness, overwhelm, trauma, damage, and so on. Imagine all of our little people, our little inner children together in the darkness. And we're saying, hey gang, come out. Who can see? Pop a 1 in the chat if you can see all our little children in the dark cuddled up together. And we're saying, I'm saying. Who's saying? Pop a yes in the chat if you're saying come out of the dark. Come into the light. Let's be together. Let's hear each other. So let's say we're saying, I'm saying and you're agreeing, yeah? Hey kids, come out. Come into the light, my love. Let's be together. You're okay. Well, it's safe here. The compassion thing, hang on, I've got a flipping puzzle I need to do. C'est la vie. The compassion is, can you imagine if I'm saying that and we are saying that and our tones and the way we're looking into the dark at these children's faces, they can see us because we're in the light. We can't see them because they're in the dark. Can you imagine if my tone, my tempo, my words are not encouraging of come into the light, it's safe here. The compassion that you get to have, that you get a talisman for. If I was saying to them, come out, and you're saying it, and your energy is complicit in my saying it in a judgmental way, in a threatening tone, in anything that isn't a consistent, relentless appeal, invitation for them to come forward with me being consistently kind and encouraging. If you're going through life, my love, expecting yourself to feel safe with you when you don't have compassion, then you're going to struggle like me and like those kids. Do you get me? Pop a yes if you get me. But if I'm saying to all of our little children, come into the light, guys, it's okay. They'll take their sweet time about it, because if you're a little child who's been traumatized and pissed off and upset and wounded and silenced and so on is anything like mine, it'll be that, like, yeah, you can ask me all you like, Pops. You can fuck yourself, love. I ain't coming out there. I know what it's like out there. I'm staying here, thanks. Fuck you. Any of your kids? Probably yes, if any of your little kids would do that, in part. Like, oh, the lovely lady's inviting us into the light. Let's go, woohoo. You know, it's going to take any of us some time to trust an invitation. So what I'm saying to us all is, if we're going to start inviting ourselves to be honest and have our back and do things to have our back, slowly, catchy monkey, we get to be consistent, we get to be kind, we get to be compassionate. You know, one little invite, come on kids, and they all come running out, yay, you know, they're in the dark for a damn reason. So sometimes we get to go into the dark and see them and be gentle, right? And this is why my intention with this guy who tried to sort of squish me like a fly. It's the last time I'll be doing that. I'd like to be compassionate with my story about bullying and how we help each other heal and talk truth to power when we get to, is we get to sometimes go into the dark with each other. How ironic is this with the light today? We get to go into the dark and be there with our pain and be there with our difficulty and be there with the part of us that doesn't feel like being nice. And anything else, we get to be in the dark. So, my love, you have a fear of death. We get to go into the stuff that we're afraid of, not avoid it, not drink on it, not try and shut it away and shame it away and all the things. We get to go in there. All that's in that room, pop a 20 if you get this, all that's in that room are some frightened little kids who have broken hearts for the most part. Broken-hearted little children in the darkness. That's all it is. Some of them will take your fucking arm off. If it's my little kid, she'll be, you know, you watch out because I'll go for your ankles and everything. However, it's pain talking. It's not personal. When people show us they're dark, they're in pain. There's love and there's fear, and that is it. We get to choose which one we're coming from, folks. You with me? Let's befriend our little kids. And if they want to act out sometimes, let's have some compassion for it. Who's in? Pop them in the chat if you're in. So we get to have compassion when we behave in whatever way. And we also get to say, okay, was that how I wanted to represent myself? Is it helpful? And or would I like to do something that fully represents me? And that would be humility, in my opinion. I've done it many times in my life, is I'll go find someone and say, I misrepresented myself there. I don't give an excuse. I don't give that was bullshit, or I'm so sorry for that, or. And I don't wait for them to, oh, it's fine. And oftentimes people will say it's fine, and I'll say it's not fucking fine. I'm sorry. And we look people in the eye and we show people that learning together and being human together and screwing up together is part of humanity. I'm sorry I fucked it up there. I look to do better. Not my mum's goldfish friend's ears, fallen off, and therefore it's excuses. It's not helpful. You with me? So, take Thrive with my love. If you have it, phenomenal, good for you. I will see you next Sunday. You're very welcome to apply for the Awakening if you'd like to join us twice a week. We have a group. They're phenomenal people. I'm very protective of that group. So there's a process for it. Other than that, shall we all just have a flurry of hearts, sending lots of love to each other and to our little children, some of whom are sometimes in the dark, and to everybody in the light. Let's send some love to this dude who's been a shit to me, because he's going to need some support, because this is not going any further. He is going to be stopped in his tracks. Let's send some love that maybe it's a blessing for him that he picked on the wrong chick, because there are consequences. So maybe something can be learned and he can maybe heal his own wounded little child, that I get to say something. And this is where I'll leave it, actually. My supervisor said this to me years ago. Say thanks to Bias in the chat. To Bias, his name was. He said, boundaries. He said, we get to be the voice that person couldn't and didn't have when they were hurt, when they were bullied. So whoever this man is, you'll hear this story if you want to. I'm putting it on the page. Was awful to me, really awful. Harassment, law breaking, all kinds of stuff. I also physically fight, so you don't want to get on the wrong end of that. Luckily, it didn't get there. However, it got very nasty. So my supervisor said, we get to be the voice that person didn't have when something was not okay. Meaning, this man, if we send him love, I was the voice that he didn't have when someone was abusive and harassing and so on with him, which is, no, this isn't okay, my love. Absolutely no. And then I get to go through the proper channels, document everything, video everything, voice everything, so that he can understand what a fucking no means. And I don't imagine anybody ever taught him that before. And I don't imagine he ever got to understand that he could use that word. Pop a yes in the chat if you get what I mean. That we only do what we've learnt to do, which is not an excuse, however, it is an offering for context. Ooh, thank you, Marcel. You're amazing. Thank you for seeing that. Yes? So, just before we go, pop one thing that you're taking from this in the chat, and we'll leave it there. We've gone over extra time. Thank you for your time. However, I was late buggering around trying to do stuff, so when you pull up a bully, they play the victim. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes. And that's a choice. That's a personal choice. And that's not personal to us, my love. We don't need to be intimidated by that. Sometimes people attempt to. Emphasis on attempt. Gaslight us, and no means no. What are you taking from this, you guys? Thank you for sharing. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for the gifts from this, you guys. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for the gifts. I really appreciate it. And the heart me's at the top. I really appreciate those. If you can do those when you come, that helps us with the algorithms thing. So good for us. Let's go very, very, very gently, right? We're human over here. Let's go gently and lovingly and check each other out. If you like some comments or you like the energy of someone, check people out. Make friends. And I will see you with my glorious friends sometime, maybe this week, next week. And you get to ask them questions and so on. I think we'll be, I know we will be, the origin of the live stream will be from Facebook. So you're very welcome if you're not a member over there, I was going to say. If you're not on Facebook and you'd like to be, my page is the same, Self-Mastery with Poppy on Facebook. We'll be live streaming there through hopefully all the other platforms. And it will be extraordinary. So looking forward to seeing you then. Nice to be with you guys. From the dark to the light. I'll see you soon. Big love.